Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Deez. This is my workshop, and this is part 2 of our rapid handle for the mill vise. If you've watched last week, it was part 1, and we got quite a bit of operations done, mostly on the lathe, and now we're ready to start with the milling operations. We're going to get the base piece mounted up into the vise so that we can mill our holes and then tap those for the handles. And that's going to be the first thing we do. We're going to use our angle block to get that set up so that we're parallel with the quill, perpendicular with the quill, so we can have a level surface to work on those operations. Let's get set up and keep going, and then we'll finish up our milling operations, and then we'll move back to the lathe so we can bore out the hole for the socket. Let's get started. First thing that we want to do is work on getting this mounted. I haven't mounted something on the collet chuck yet to be at an angle, and I haven't really used the hex collet chuck yet. First thing I want to do though is put this in here, tighten it down a little bit, and tighten up this collet before we get started. And I need to kind of secure it. I've got my piece in here, but it's not tightened down. I don't want to forget to do that before we get started. That will hold that nicely. Let's take that out of here for now, and we are going to, I might need to get a parallel out. I think I will, because what we want to do is have it mounted at an angle. Well, maybe I won't. Let's see. How we do. Let me figure this out. This is long. I may need to put something underneath here in order to get that angle correct. Let me see what I have. Here's the setup. Right or wrong, this is how I'm going to do it. I was going to use the parallel, the angle block, but I would have to mount it down in here, and trying to get that lined up. I really wanted it underneath, but this is a hex collet, so I can't put it underneath, and I don't have an adapter to make this square, and then I run out of jaw space. So what I decided to do, and this is not correct, I know, but what I'm trying to do is just get this flat surface here perpendicular with the quill. I'm just going to go kind of old school. I'm going to use a little level. It doesn't need to be perfect, but as long as each of the 3 holes is at the same angle going in, then everything should look fine. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this little level that I have here, and I'm going to level it approximately the same for each of the 3 sides, and then I'll perform my operations. You know, I can tap it up and down, and then I crank it down and get it tight. This is not the right way to do it. I understand that. I don't really have any support underneath here, but the collet nut can ride on these jaws if I need it to, but that would bring it out of level just a little bit. But I think this is going to work out. I've got it tight in there, pretty tight. I'm going to center find using the flats of the collet chuck, and then I'll use my DRO to find the center, so that for each operation I can get back to the center, and because I'll have to move this 3 different times. That's going to be the plan in order to drill the holes. What I'm planning on doing is drilling the hole in addition to trying to get a counterbore going for the 1/2-inch rod. Alright, that would be my Y. we go. So Y half. Yep. And ultimately we are going to drill the hole in there, but I need to bring my Y to 0. I halved it out. And that right there should be the center line. Sure looks pretty good. We're also going to lock the table, but I want to find my center line here real quick. And that will keep our table from moving back and forth. So we'll lock the axes for that. Let me find the center where I want my handles to be drilled, and then we'll continue on. I'm just gonna this doesn't have to be absolutely critical. I just want the three at the same angle and the same distance apart. What I want to do is lock my y-axis or my x-axis in as well. What I'm going to do is just kind of eyeball the center point with my tap follower. It's kind of the best thing I have at the moment. We'll just lock that in, and we'll mark our X, clear our x-axis, bring it over to the other end, and we will half that. And if we bring it back, we will have our center. Right about there. Should be the center of this face. It doesn't look like it though. Let's measure it a little bit. That is about 3/8. That's about 3. I guess it is centered. That's yeah, good. So the DRO kind of saved the day on being able to center this up. That's the whole reason I have it. And now we're ready to drill this, counterbore it, chamfer it, and then we'll go to tap it later. I'm going to figure out how deep I want to go with my drill, and then I'll bring you back, because we got to make 3 of them, and I don't want them getting into each other. The handles that I made have a 3/8 24 thread, and if we look at the chart, we have our 3/8. There we go. 3/8 24 tap size is what I want to do. I don't have any letter drills. I do have numbers, but I have 21/64 and 11/32 is kind of in between. I think I'm going to go down to the 21/64 and try to tap that hole. It'll be a little tight, but I think 11/32 is going to be a little more oversized than I need it to be. Honestly, it probably won't matter. There'll be plenty of engagement either way. But I'm going to start with 21/64. I'll use the Quill DRO for my depth, so all of my depths of cut will be the same. I'm going to write it down so I remember how far I'm going, and that's going to be what we'll do before we take it out to run the tap in there. I'm even going to try to chamfer the inside of that hole where I'm going to be tapping it. I want to make sure that give a good chance for making that tapping operation go well. Before we get started, let's grab our drill bit. I'm going to go down 600 thou depth of cut for the tap, and then we'll cut off any of the thread that I need to for the handle so it seats down in there properly. I think 650 thou will be plenty deep and should be able to do that with each side. So we need the 21/64. That would be over here. Sort of oiled up nicely. That would be this this one here. We're going to keep going. Like I said, I'm going to go 600 thou depth of cut for each of the three, but I want to get this one done first. I went ahead and put a stop here because I know when I pull this out and move it over, I'm going to lose my position, so that's going to help keep things where they need to be, and then we'll re-level it up and keep going. Start out with a little drill hog, and then we'll just use some oil. That is 600 thou. Now I want to take this out and I'll put an end mill in here and recess this for a 1/2 inch for the rods. I know I should use an R8, but I'm not. I'm just going to use the drill chuck. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I think it's going to be fine for this application. All I'm going to do is a small recess here. A little farther. That will do. That's it. That's all I want. And then finally, I want to chamfer that inside hole before we tap it. You know, I'm going to go ahead and just go all the way through this and tap this while I'm at it. Rather than move the part again and try to line that up, might as well take advantage of this setup and get those tapped. All right, we are ready to rotate this. I've got all those operations done. We can clean that hole out a little bit more if we ever need to. And we are ready to go. So yeah, it's time to take this out, rotate it a third. You know, like I said, we're going to do 3 of these holes. So I need to skip one and rotate it, and we'll continue on. Let's get this out of here. So that's not enough. I need to go one more. And then we'll do one more. So we skip, marking here, skip one, and it is one. And then we put a final marking here. Skip one, and it is one. Skip one, and we are one there. Okay. That's what we want right there. My unscientific method, tightening this down. See how well we do. we go. Gonna be like that. Again, my unscientific method here. Just need a little tap. There we go. Perfect. Well, I don't know about perfect, but now we're gonna finish this last one. There we go. Shallow throw, really, really nice. And get in there, go flat, and don't cheap it. There we go. It's gonna be. And finally, this. Now take that. We got this out. I wanted to do a test fit before I pulled it out of my collet, ER40 hex collet. So let's see if we can get these arms test fitted in here. I know I'm going to have to cut the threads down just a little bit, but let's see how they look. That one's a little long. That one, not too bad. Probably needs shaved down a little bit. Finally, that one. A little long yet, too. There we go. They fit. You can see how this is shaping up. This will be the handle. It'll go on the vise like that. I'll be able to spin these guys. Let's get this out of here. I'm done with the milling operations on this angle anyway for this base piece. I do need to mill some flats in these handles, still mill some flats in this socket. That'll be the next clips here that we do. We're going to keep going on. I want to get it out of here and just take a look at it. we go. As you can see, the piece is shaping up. I used an unscientific method. I know I used a level, but if it works, is it wrong? I know that's a dumb saying, but it worked for me. Again, I'm going to shave off a little bit of the ends of these threads. They're a little bit long. But it's shaping up, starting to look good. There we go. So this will be cut off, and then the bore will be underneath, basically where this is. We'll face that off, and then we'll bore down for the socket, and it'll be a press fit with an Allen set screw. It's coming along. This part I was a little nervous about. Turned out nice. I like it. Let's get this changed out. We are going to put an end mill in here and start drilling some flats on our handles and on the socket. 3/8 R8 collet. Let's get that in here. Tighten that up. Put our collet in here. Of course, it's just a little too tight. Right about there. Use our custom drawbar hammer. Tighten that up, and we are solid. The other thing we're going to do is put our square collet block in here. I got my 14mm socket in here. I may make a change later on. I may get a deep well socket. I'm not sure I want this to be a press fit anymore because I want to be able to take this out. I'm kind of thinking this might be too shallow and not be exactly what I'm looking for with how deep it goes on here. But I'm going to try this one first before I buy a deep well socket. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to buy a socket that's deeper. That way I can go ahead and use that. I did do some looking online. I'm getting off topic here. I did do some looking online, and the deep sockets that I could find, some of them were like over 2 inches long. I only have 1.5 inches to play with, which means I would need to modify the socket if I bought it. The shortest one I found was like 1.75 inches. That means this would be too long. So I'm still going to proceed and move forward with this shorter socket. I'm going to see if it just stays on there the way I like. If it does, there's no need to buy a different one. But I'm going to start with this one since that's what I have. And what we're going to do is mill a flat into this. The other thing we need to do is tighten this up. I did not have this tight. I want to make sure it's good and tight. And now we can unlock everything because we had everything locked down from the handle holes that we were making, and run these across. I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer. You can see we're just going to do a nice simple flat on this. I'm not going to do both sides. I just need it for the set screw, and that's it. Let's get a flat milled in this. Now this is probably going to be hard because of what it is. It's a socket. It should be hard. But I'm just going to take it really slow. We're going to put a flat on the end of this and just at least get that part of it done. We're just going to touch off. final pass. And that'd be good enough. I think that is plenty good. Grab this one here. That's plenty for a flat for what we're doing here. Actually, let's do it that way. I kind of messed up on the other one, but it's going to work out. I'm going to try this again. And we'll do another 30 thou. Go. And we'll do the same. A little bit more off. Go. That one's done, and we'll repeat with the last one. completes the milling operations for now. The only other thing I need to do is drill a hole for the set screw for the socket. I can do that later. Not in a hurry to do that. I can use my V blocks to set that up. We need to now, I'm ready to do the boring for the socket. That socket is going to be recessed into the body of this, like that. There's the flat that I made for it, and it'll go something like this. But we need to cut this off. We no longer need this. We've already done our operations. I'm not going to do any more decorative cuts or cleanups. I'll spin it around and use some Scotch-Brite, but I can do that by mounting it up here. It's now time to cut this piece off. We're going to use a bandsaw to start with that, and then we'll face it off. Then we'll start our drilling and boring operations. We got it cut off, and I'll face this off on the lathe and we'll be good. There's the piece that we were using to hold on to it. So we'll get started on the lathe. We just need to face this off, then maybe chamfer that a little bit, and then we're going to drill and try to get down to our final size where the socket will fit in there. Again, I'm not sure I'm going to go for a super tight press fit now because I may want to change that socket out someday. But I do want it very close, very tight. So let's get this faced off and we'll keep going. Switch over here. I'm going to take this stuff out. I'm going to do the chamfer on the edge later because now that this is set up, I want to go ahead and drill my center drill, and then I'm going to drill this out to 1/2 inch. That's the largest drill bit that I have. Then we're going to use the boring bar and we're going to drill out the remaining portion that we need. I've got my mark where I want to come down to. We're just going to get after this. I'm going to use oil, cutting oil, some Vise oil, whatever I need to do. We're going to come down to this line, and that will be able to encapsulate my socket. Let's get started here. We need to bring this to 768 so that the socket can go in there. I'm going to stop at 768 and then we'll do a test fit, and then I'll do a spring pass, you know, and we'll try to get that out. But we'll test this periodically. But right now it's 500, so I have 250 thou to take off. So we're gonna just work our way through it, and I know each half a millimeter is 20 thou, and we'll just kind of work through it, and we'll keep testing along the way. Do a quick measurement. Okay, 520. Again, we're going to 768 thou. $700. Now we'll start taking a little slower. Did we go too big? Oh, we're so close. It's good. $750 thou. We need to take 10 thou off, I think, to start with. Let's take 10 thou off. That would be a press. That's pretty tight. I need to take a little more out of there. Let's get that 4 or 5 thou out of there. There we go. I don't want to take any more off. The set screw will hold that in place. Let me clean up a little bit, and then I'm going to bring this out because I want to chamfer the inside and the outside. These are sharp edges. Trim off a little bit of the end of this to make it about the same length as the other ones. Swap out the tooling. Flip it over, and we need to shorten up the thread. Thread it in just a little bit. I want it to be a total of 3/4 from the edge, and that is a, or 3/8, sorry. All right. Let's get this last one out of here. Let's go do some test fits, and then we'll go to our final operation. I'll give you a little update here. I've test fit my, my socket. I'm gonna have to turn a little bit of that socket down. Ooh, that fits in there pretty good, actually. So now, can I get it out of there? Let's grab a thing. There we go. So that's good, but there are some burrs down in here. Let's see if I can get them out by running this tap back through. Let's do that together here real quick. There's a burr where I drilled those out. Let's see here. Like this. There we go. See if we can get those burrs knocked out of there. Maybe. Pretty close, but we'll see. May have to use some pliers or something. But there's like a disc. Let me get some pliers. I'll show you. There we go. So you see this little, that's just from the end of where that was tapped out and drilled out and all that. So there's just this little tiny burr of metal. Let's go through all of these. Let's do this one next. Well, it sure would be nice if I don't have to trim any of this off. That fits in there all the way where I want it to be. And I'll have to get it out of there like that. But I'm going to use a set screw to keep it from spinning. So that's how I want that to be. That's good. Now, let's see how we did with trimming these handles down. We're still going to have to cut some of that off. I don't want to trim the threads down any further on these. I guess I could, but really like that engagement on these. Tighten that down. Those handles won't come off. So I really just need to trim off just a little bit of that, which is fine. Not much at all. Matter of fact, just to maybe, yeah, just to that line. That's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna trim off the back end of this. I'm gonna do it off camera because you've seen me trimming and doing all kinds of crap with these things. I'm gonna trim that off, and then we're gonna decide where we want our set screw to be for this. And we're gonna mount this up with the V-blocks and drill and tap a hole so that we can actually lock this in place. Clean that up with a file. Not too bad now. It's got a little bit of a burr on it. Let's see if we can clean that a little bit. This should be pretty flush into the hole. There we go. Perfect. I like that. All right. So now the next thing we need to do, the last thing I believe that we need to do, is drill and tap the set screw hole for this. And we are gonna, this can be eyeballed. I don't need to go too crazy. So we're gonna go right about there. And we want to catch this flat with the set screw. I kind of like this one. I think the depth is going to be good for it. It'll be recessed, but kind of hard to show you. I think the depth of that one is pretty good. I like that. And let's get started. We are going to drill and tap this hole and try to finish up this project. A little bit of oil. Nice and easy without breaking a tap. This is the final please don't break a tap moment. So we'll take it nice and slow. We'll just go all the way down through there. This is a more complex project than you might think. You think, oh, a simple handle, big deal. There's more to this project than you might think. Let's pull this out of here. We got that tapped. I think we're ready to take this out of here. Before I do that, let's just be careful here. Let's see if this threads in here. I mean, this is what we want. Oh yeah, looking good. I use my V-block. These came out really handy. Let me get this taken out of here, and we'll go over to the workbench and we will kind of check things out and see how we're looking. And then we'll come over here and do a test fit and see if everything came out like we wanted. I think we have all of our operations done. We've got our socket milled, we have our base piece completed, we've got our handles, all three, drilled, tapped, died, all of that. Got flats put on those. We have 3/8 wrench so we can tighten those down. We have our set screw ready to go. I want to put these handles in first because there is a limitation on how far back that socket's going to go, and then we'll put our set screw in. So let's get our 3 handles on here first. We'll tighten those down. Now we want to put our socket in here. And again, we want to line up our set screw and the flat that we made. That will be right about there. I'll drop in pretty nice and flush. And then we want to get this set screw going. And let's give that a good tweak. I could always put some Loctite on that set screw, but again, it's just holding the flat. So we have a handle, we have a set screw, we've got our socket, and we got our angles away. Let's get over here and let's test this thing out. I mean, I'm really excited. This looks really good. It's coming out very nice, like I wanted it to. Let's give it a test. I know it's not going to be all the way in on this, like the handle that comes with it. It's much deeper of a socket, but that's not what we were going for. We're going for not banging into the handles of the X and Y axis. Let's give this a shot. Let's see what this does. Here we go. Rapid handle. That is super easy to use. In and out all the way. Very nice. Now let's do a little testing with moving the Y-axis in to about where it might be. Let's hopefully we don't bang into this thing at all, and we still are clearing, and we are. Now we have our rapid handle working. It's not banging into the wheel. This is going to work out really good. The only thing that might be better on this would be if I had a deeper socket, and someday I might actually do that. I might get a deeper socket, do the same thing with a flat on it. It'll just be deeper, and I'll have to cut the back end of it off. But for the most part, this has worked out really good. Here we go. I'm really happy with that. On and off real easy. Rapid handle for the mill vise. So we have our rapid handle for the mill vise. I'm really happy with that. That turned out great. I used some unconventional methods to, drill these holes, these 3 holes. It ended up working out. This isn't like it's going on a rocket ship or going to mission to Mars or anything crazy like that. But it did come out very well. I have my socket. I can always upgrade this to a deeper socket if I want to. For now, this is going to work fine. Being able to rapidly bring that mill vise in and out is going to be, it's going to save a lot of time. I'm really happy with that. I know this video is dragging on. I know there's a second part. I'm going to make just 2 of these. This is the end of that video. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for sticking with me. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. This was a fun project. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.